House Restuffing and Wilkie's Pro Paints. Now, without further ado, as I've finished doing a bit of housekeeping, we'll put these cans on this man and welcome him to the microphone. I'll interview you very, very diligently. Welcome, g'day mate. It's Eric Dillard from the US, owner of Proline Race Engines. Is that correct, sir? That's it. Yeah. I'm sorry, sir. You seem to me, first impression, a little too young to be running the baddest turbocharged V8 cars in the world. What's the deal?
Well, you know, I was kind of like that old saying, I was in the right place at the right time. And, we started back about 7 years ago. I was working 4-speed petty.
Yes.
And just some things worked out where I was able to help with the company and take things over. And Steve was better at the tuning side of it, and I was better at running the business. So we kind of all put our heads together and just started pushing forward. So it just, everything's worked out real well. We've been real fortunate.
Can I be so bold as to ask how old you are?
29.
Geez, boy, mate, hasn't he done some stuff already? When did it first bite for you, Eric? When did Brad first bite?
Oh man, it's been with me since day one. You know, I've been wanting to do it since I was probably 12 or 13 years old, and got my first car and got it ready when I was 15, and already on the street as soon as I turned 16. And you know, there hadn't a day been gone by since I could get in a car that we haven't been out racing or doing something. You know.
So what was your local drag strip back then?
There was a local 8-mile track, real small track. That's where I really got into it. That's where I got to know Steve and Tim, and that's how I met them. And I started begging them for a job, and you know, raced with those guys for a while. Did a lot of street racing, which, you know, that's how I think a lot of us do get started. But
dear Eric.
Yep.
Just quickly, was it just fate or geography that formed these first bonds? I mean, was it just, I suppose, luck or fate or destiny that you just happened to meet them and now you're here?
I think so, because honestly, without the group of three, there's me and another owner. He's kind of the machine shop side of it, the engine builder. Steve does the tuning, and I run the business, and I help Steve a lot with the tuning now. And I don't think if we could have put all three of us together, we definitely wouldn't be where we're at today.
All right, where did Proline first start? What did you have? You know, there's stories of some shops, they say, oh, we had just one desk and, you know, one dyno and one engine stand and set of tools. What did you start with?
We started with, your basic sun and equipment and 3 guys. It was me, the owner, and 1 employee, which was Tim Lynch.
And Tim Lynch, just throw another name in there. Oh, just a little kid used to sweep the shop, Tim Lynch.
Yeah, we started with like the basic stuff that most people start with. The biggest thing we had going for us at the time is Tim and Steve had already raced for like 10 years before I actually took over the company. So we had a lot of customer base already. We had, the knowledge that Tim and Steve already had racing. So we really had a jump start. So
and we did turbos first. Well, I use a turbo over here, you know. When did it first punch you in the underpants that turbochargers were a beautiful thing?
Oh man, since when we started, it was from right off the bat. But Tim and Steve probably got a hold of it in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Because it was all a big Mustang thing back then. I mean, there's a lot of turbo Mustangs, a lot of turbo Windsor-powered cars first sort of come out of the woodwork. And I even remember cars that influenced me, Gene Deputy and all those sort of early cars. Helen Williams with V6s and Kenny Duttweiler, another name that really was exciting stuff. Grand Nationals were turbo V6s. They were all showing pretty early on in the case in the United States that if you wanted to go turbo, there were some combinations that they could get down the track. And that was an evolution. I think even Deputy back in the day, it was running 8s. And now Windsors can run 6s, and big blocks run 5s.
Yeah, and then like Windsors, like you say, that's even, that's kind of where we started. Like a good, big small block Ford with turbos on it, that was kind of what really made our name and started pushing us forward.
I've been a turbo fan for years. I've had a lot of turbocharged cars, and my attitude always been that it was, in the early days, it was cheap horsepower. You're using the engine as the pump, and essentially just putting some boost through it. And even with standard engine components, you're generating twice or triple or quadruple the torque. And even with stock everything, it'd work with stock valves, stock cams. As long as you can hold the cylinder pressure in, you get the most out of the engine. But now these days, there's the Proline, well I read you inside of it, there's the Proline 622, there's these products you've developed now, essentially these are your own engine identity now. They're based on, I suppose, a lot of components and big block sheds, there's plenty of that stuff there, but you've taken it to the next level.
Yeah, Steve came out like back in about 08, 09, we built a gas specific, like a 10-5 car type setup, and that was our 670. And that motor still to this day, we haven't really changed it much. We've developed a few things, got a billet head for it, now it's a complete billet engine, but that motor from the day we brought it out even until today, it still leads the pack. And it's just, Steve really came out with a good piece, and it's really helped us. But the 481X, that's what we've been really pushing in the Pro Mod.
481X?
Yep.
Oh, okay, so just hold the phone a sec. So the 481X, we've got a 481X out here this weekend, is that right? No?
I think somebody might have one this weekend, but we don't actually have one here this weekend.
Oh, okay.
That's mostly what our Pro Mod stuff is.
You see, because I know that Mustang's got my attention now. I've got to go and have a bit of a closer look under the bonnet. Have you seen some of our Aussie turbo stuff, what they're doing and where they're getting bits from? I suppose you've got such a big customer base all over the world, but the Aussies down here, we seem to have got the bug as well.
Well, you know, Frank came to us 3 or 4 years ago, and since day one, he was really interested in pushing the market with Dandy engines, and he's done a heck of a job. You know, we had no idea the product that he could move and the customer base that he had and how hard he was willing to work with it. And me and Matt, Matt, our business manager's here today, and we were really looking forward to coming here for a long time. But it just happened to be where we could get out here and really see what he's doing. So
now, a couple of weeks ago, there was a big test day. Was it my mistake? Were you here a couple of weeks ago?
That was
Steve came out. Yep. Steve popped out. Just out to Australia for, was it 3 or 4 days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know what, gee, those 4 days I wish I had off work, to be honest, because one of my guys I work with is Troy in the Tirana. So Troy's been keeping me up to date. Next thing you know, I mean, because we're plumbers, he's an apprentice plumber. Next thing you know, Troy's off for 4 days. Why? I see Paddy's tuning up at Willowbank. We've got 4 days of testing. It's like, dude, what am I doing at work? Now look, Eric, Pro Modified in the States is different to door slammer here in Australia. But you know what, secretly, I think we all want to see turbo cars in our door slammer equivalent. I mean, one thing I suppose I love about the NHRA is that, they have their eyes open for what's hot. And turbo door cars and Pro Mods is where it's at. They've delivered pretty decent parity amongst the different engine combos. Tell us about your recent exploits in Pro Modified with the turbo brigade.
You know, we started back in 2011 with R2D2, and we were fortunate enough to do a lot of testing over the winter with Roger. He was real generous in giving us time to work with the cars, and we came out swinging in 2011. We won 3 or 4 races, we set the national record, and we had a lot of success. And we've definitely been keep pushing it forward. They tightened the turbo rules up a little bit in NHRA, and rightfully so.
And they just do that with wheel diameter size, don't they?
They started to do it with wheel diameter size, and now they actually just put a boost limit. So they
have.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, gee, that sounds a bit strangely familiar. I think Andrew had a shot of that a couple of years ago, a 40-pound valve or something like that.
Yeah.
Are we doing a similar thing?
43, yep.
Hang on a sec, that sounds like the Americans copied the Aussies for a sec. That doesn't sound right, especially with something like that. But you know what? I suppose that would work because it's like anything. When you, what is your turbo brand of choice, by the way?
Precision.
Okay, Precision. Now, of course, we do know that there's other manufacturers out there very excited about getting on board, and we can name them all. We already know what they are, but Precision are out there, seem to be at pretty much the front of it. So I suppose sanctioning body has to get smarter than the turbo companies and go, you know what, we don't do it with a wheel size anymore, because I know within the wheel we can do anything it wants. So this boost cap, but you're happy with that? You reckon you can work around that?
Yeah, we can work around it.
That means blowing cars can probably run 50 or 60 pounds if they really wanted to try it. Is that right?
Well, the roof blower guys actually make about 45 to 48.
Okay, right.
So we're pretty close, and we put some stuff on the dyno this winter. It looked really good. We went to the track, and we had a brand new car out last weekend at the Gator Nationals. The car had less than 10 runs on it. It went 250 on the first, on the second qualifier. So the power's there, and the car's not even ironed out. So we can't complain. We still have power, but it's got to make the cars work.
Well, I think a lot of the argument is too, and I suppose anyone that typical thing whenever turbo cars start to get in and dominate is that all the other bodies tend to want to say, well, they've got an advantage. But really, at the end of the day, you're not running, and they know secretly that if you really want to go up there and put 50 plus pound of boost in top gear, you can win a race. And in a way, we've probably seen a little bit of that because we're getting these booming bottoming speeds. So they probably figured that's a good way to cap you there. But I mean, a lot of the times you're not using anything near that in the first half of the track, are you?
No, the blower guys still run us. They outrun us in the front of the track, and we're getting a lot closer. The converter technology is getting a lot closer where we can apply more power down low. In our eyes, and me and Steve guys, we should be running tit for tat with the blower guys to the 330, and we're working on that. And I think if we work on that, you'll see the performance by the end of the year. We'll be running. We feel like we can get back where we were. So
now, just a personal preference, and I do know in a couple of years ago I followed the likings of Mr. Personette and the Big Stuff team and how they came out and they really took it to pro mod. They're almost unbeatable. Personette's one hell of a driver. Again, pedal clutch and manual transmission, that was what they were doing, you know. This Lenko drive and converter deal seems to be where all the quick turbo cars are going to keep running, or someone still loves to pull the clutch. Has Jeggy gone a Lenko drive yet, or Jeggy still does the drops the clutch?
We're still doing a converter and a Rosler at all.
Yeah.
So it's actually a Turbo 400. It's still a factory case. They're just a lot more consistent. You know, when these things pull to the starting line with a torque converter, we get the same thing every time we pull to the racetrack. And it seems like everybody that's done it with the clutch has definitely struggled, especially when you start getting over 2,500, 3,000 horsepower. And we're going to work with some guys on some pro model stuff in the background, and because there's always something's going to click one day, and I think it will come together.
Well, I mean, any which way you look, there's a ton of potential everywhere. It's again, I suppose, giving you that repeatability, and again, I suppose we're looking at what's contributed to the industry, and I suppose when you're trying to get a turbo pro mod down the track, all of a sudden that converter's become all the more important. I know that the blowing guys are just as much needing that converter technology, but it just seems to get those turbo cars consistent, isn't it? It's that first half of the track that at least you shouldn't forget about, but I mean, it's important, but it seems that you can safely get that car to 330 if you know what you're doing, and then concentrate on trying to get the rest in there.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's definitely consistent, and you know, consistency wins races, and if we go out there and we can do the same thing every run, that's what's going to keep us up front. So
does Proline have a battery or an engine management control unit brand of choice?
Big Stuff 3.
Big Stuff 3. So the official ECU for Proline is Big Stuff 3. I think nearly everyone here the other weekend, did they all have Big Stuff 3s? And again, there's another introduction into the industry, a new engine management system that just seems to really suit these turbocharged big capacity engines. Where do you go from here, Eric?
The goal right now is we're trying to run 370s and 8s for the turbo car. And we're going to Tulsa in 2 weeks, and we've got a car that is knocking on the door. We went 382 to 208 the other day in testing, and we're hoping to pull in Tulsa next week and knock that barrier out. It's been eating us for about a year, and we're ready to take it over. So.
Looks like we're back in the racing. This just worked out perfectly, didn't it? Because I've been absolutely fascinated talking to you. A real success story. Eric Dillard, former United